Welcome to the SNAP-Ed Steps to Health, Better Food, Better Health program, or in Spanish, Mejores Alimentos para una Mejor Salud. This webinar is one component of the facilitator training that you will be required to complete on your checklist. We are delighted that you will be working as a facilitator under the guidance of the nutrition educator or under the guidance of a cooperative extension family and consumer sciences agent. My name is Karen Malloy, and I am a training nutrition associate with the SNAP-Ed Steps to Health team in Raleigh, and I will be hosting this webinar. You may already have received your facilitator notebook and looked through it. It will be helpful to have it handy during this training. Here is the agenda for the training. I will introduce the program, review the facilitator roles and responsibilities, go through the program sessions, and review facilitator hiring and payment procedures. Let us begin by giving some background on the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program Education, also known as SNAP-Ed. It is a federal nutrition education program targeted toward low-income individuals who either receive SNAP benefits, formerly known as food stamps, or are eligible to receive benefits. The goal of SNAP-Ed is to improve the likelihood that persons eligible for SNAP will make healthy food choices within a limited budget and choose physically active lifestyles consistent with the current dietary guidelines for Americans and My Plate. North Carolina State University's SNAP-Ed program is called Steps to Health. Steps to Health programs are taught by either a nutrition educator or a North Carolina Cooperative Extension Agent, or FCS agent. There are 6 SNAP-Ed Steps to Health programs, and Better Food, Better Health is just one of them. The Better Food, Better Health program was originally developed for low-income Spanish-speaking Hispanic Latino families in North Carolina. North Carolina has a large Hispanic population with high rates of obesity and diabetes. This is the program that you will be a facilitator for. There is also a version of the program for English-speaking families, as obesity and nutrition-related chronic disease are a concern for many people in the state. The program seeks to address these issues with its nutrition, physical activity, and food resource management curriculum. During the program, families will be divided into 2 groups. One group consists of adults, parents, and youth, ages 12 and older, and the other group consists of children, ages 4 to 11. The participants are divided by age because the program has 2 separate curricula, one for the adult and youth and the other for children. As the adult and youth facilitator, you will deliver the curriculum to adult and youth participants in Spanish under the supervision of either the nutrition educator or the FCS agent. There may also be a child facilitator working with the program who will lead the child activities. The program consists of a series of 6 sessions, each lasting approximately 120 minutes. For those of you who are returning facilitators, the sessions increased from 5 to 6. Everyone meets together at the beginning of each session for the physical activity portion. Then the 2 groups meet separately. While you lead the discussion with the adult and youth participants, the child facilitator will be leading the child activities. Then the 2 groups come together for the food demonstration and taste test at the end of the session. Both groups come together for the physical activity portion and food demonstration. Facilitators will assist the nutrition educator and the FCS agent during all those activities. Here is a table that outlines the 6 program sessions. You may notice that the child activities for each session relate to what the adult and youth are discussing in their curriculum. That is why it is important to teach the session in order, so all family members are receiving consistent nutrition messages each week. While we expect that the sessions will be enjoyable for participants, The program also has objectives that we would like to see the participants achieve. For the children and youth, we would like to see an increase in their willingness to try more fruits and vegetables and be more active. For adults, we would like to see an improvement in their behavior related to nutrition, physical activity, and resource management. So, participants will be filling out evaluation surveys and forms during the program. We will go over these forms later. This next section deals with your roles and responsibilities as a facilitator. More than likely, you are attending this training because you have been selected as a Better Food, Better Health facilitator. There will probably be 2 facilitators in your county. You and the other will be a child facilitator. In your role as a bilingual adult and youth facilitator, you will help either the nutrition educator or the FCS agent deliver the program in Spanish, and you will serve as a team partner who connects the FCS agent with the Hispanic Latino audiences in your county. When the program starts, all that you need to do is lead discussions, and that will be provided for you. You will become a temporary educator, teaching one of these 2 curricula under the guidance of either a nutrition educator or an FCS agent. In this training, we will go over the main responsibilities that you will have as a facilitator. In addition, all facilitators will need to meet with the nutrition educator or FCS agent whom they are working with to clarify their specific roles and responsibilities during the program. In your facilitator notebook on page 7, you will find this table. Let's take a few seconds so that you can locate it. I'll highlight the suggested roles and responsibilities. Remember to please work under the guidance of either your nutrition educator or the FCS agent. One role that you will have as a bilingual facilitator in the program is to help recruit participants. Do you remember the target audience? It's low-income Spanish-speaking families. The nutrition educator or the FCS agent that you're working with may already have a recruitment plan in place, but she still may need your assistance. There is a target number of participants that the nutrition educator or agent is trying to reach, so please be mindful of that when recruiting. As a facilitator, you are a link between the nutrition educator and the FCS agent and the local Hispanic Latino community. Are there community partners that you can connect with? Are there community partners that you can connect a nutrition educator or FCS agent with? Recruitment can be challenging, so working with contacts that you already may have may be more effective. Personal interactions, such as face-to-face contact or phone conversations, are important when working with the Latino community. Just relying on flyers or standing in front of a store may not be as effective. Working with your contacts may be more effective. You may also want to start with a pre-existing group with community partners. If that doesn't work, you may have to build a group. After session 1, however, no new participants may join. If you're going to build a group, here are some places to consider when working with either the nutrition educator or the FCS agent to recruit participants from a target audience. The examples are schools with 50% or more free or reduced lunch participation, health departments, faith communities, nonprofit organizations, Latino Mexican grocery stores in low-income neighborhoods. Here are some more considerations to keep in mind during recruitment. The time of year and the actual time the program will impact participants. An early class during the school year may mean that fewer children will participate. A location that is easy to get to will help reduce the transportation barrier that participants may have. New participants should be recruited, not only those who have participated in your program last year. We have provided you with a facilitator log. You will find it behind the program introduction. It is entirely for your use and does not need to be turned in. You can use it to keep track of participants as you recruit them. You can use it to give an example of the number of participants that the agent probably would like to know is attending the class before session 1. This helps the nutrition educator or the FCS agent prepare enough supplies and materials for the session. Also use the log to follow up with participants after each session. Here's a question for you. Is this statement true or false? Only mothers can participate in the program. The answer is false. The Better Foods, Better Health program is for low-income Hispanic Latino families, and their children, mothers, and fathers are also welcome to participate in the program. Another responsibility that you will have is to prepare for sessions. There are some things that need to be done before a session begins. Before the sessions, it is essential that you review what you will be presenting. Thoroughly review each session PowerPoint slides beforehand. Make reminder calls and follow up with participants to see if they will attend the session and how they are progressing. The nutrition educator or the FCS agent may need your help to pack props or supplies for each session. As the adult and youth facilitator, you will lead the adult and youth discussion using the supplied PowerPoint presentation with talking points. If questions arise, you need to direct those questions either to the nutrition educator or the FCS agent and interpret accordingly. The nutrition educator or the FCS agent always will be present during the sessions in the event you need assistance. These are some things that you may have to assist the nutrition educator or the FCS agent with. The physical activity portion of the class, the food demonstration, making sure all participant forms are complete, and taking attendance at each session. Let's look at another question. Which of the following may be my responsibility as a facilitator? Help the nutrition educator or the FCS agent to recruit participants, prepare for sessions, lead session discussions, make reminder calls to participants, answer participants' nutrition questions during the session. What's the answer? All of the above, A, B, C, and D. You will, as a facilitator, help the nutrition educator or the FCS agent to recruit participants. You'll help prepare for your sessions. You'll lead session discussions under the supervision of the nutrition educator or the FCS agent. You'll place reminder calls to participants between and after sessions. But you do not have to answer participants' questions about nutrition. The nutrition educator or the FCS agent will be present to answer those questions. You will then have to translate the answers. Okay, let's just take a few seconds to look at our next session. And it is your program delivery, and you're leading the sessions. Now we will look at how the sessions are laid out in your facilitator notebook. If you open the notebook, you will find an introduction. Please read through these pages to get better acquainted with the curriculum. The introduction provides more detail on the background of the program, session format, content, and delivery. There is also information on recruitment of low-income Latino Hispanic families, the target audience of the program. You will then notice 6 tabs labeled for each session that contain the educational materials. For each session, there is a session guide that outlines the objectives of each session, the supplies you will need, and the guide. You will work under the guidance of either the nutrition educator or the FCS agent to gather the supplies that you will need for each session. Then you will see forms, handouts, and worksheets for each session. Lastly, you have the leader feedback form that you will need to complete after each session. After that, you will have the PowerPoint script that you will use to lead the session discussion. The PowerPoints have all directions and instructions for you to lead the session. instructions on how to administer forms, and set goals with the participants. Here is a table of the session titles and order again from the program introduction in your notebook. Now we will look behind the tab for Session 1. Now that you have flipped to tab number 1 and located the session guide, you should see the heading, Making Mealtime a Family Time. The session guide will outline the objectives of the session. If you turn the page, you will see that it also outlines the supplies by curriculum and the curriculum guide for each session. After the session guide are all the handouts, worksheets, and forms needed for that session. For Session 1, I'll go through all of the handouts, worksheets, and forms because they are very important. As a facilitator, you may have to help the nutrition educator and the FCS agent distribute and collect some of these forms. You will also need to fill out a leader feedback form at the end of each session. In your notebook, you have copies of the forms participants receive. The nutrition educator or the FCS agent will have the actual forms that are handed out to the participants. The first form that you will see is the family record. One family member fills this record out for only family members attending this session. After Session 1, you and the nutrition educator or the FCS agent might use the family record to fill out the attendance roster and also update your facilitator log. The attendance roster, just like it says, will be used in the other sessions to keep track of who is present. You, the nutrition educator, or the FCS agent will take attendance. The participants don't need to check off their own names. Notice that for the attendance roster, the participants' first and last name should be written down. Also, the date of each session should be written down, as well as the county, location, and the nutrition educator's or the agent's name. After that, we have different participant forms: enrollment forms, consent forms, and adult survey forms. Remember, in the introduction we talked about the need to evaluate the Better Food, Better Health program. These forms help us do that. There is a Spanish and English version available for most of these forms. The first one we will look at is the enrollment form. And I might add also, the enrollment form is new this year. It has a different look, and I think it does not have as many questions. The next form is the consent form. Also, there is an English-Spanish version available. It has carbon copied on the back page, and the participants keep the yellow page. Next is the Adult Survey 1. This is completed also at Session 1. It is double-sided, and there is an English and Spanish version of this also. After that is the program schedule, where session dates and times will be noted. There's an English and Spanish version also available. Participants take this home in order to remind them of when and at what time the sessions are. Also, there are some questions on this that participants will think about and write down their answers during the sessions. Handouts will be available throughout the 6 sessions. Usually they are in the form of 10 tips for setting good examples. They will be also in Spanish and English. Next, we have soccer balls for goal setting. Participants will get a large soccer field to use throughout the program. They will write a goal of 1 to 2 balls each week. When participants set goals, the following week they will review them and see if they have made any progress or met their goals. And as they meet their goals, they move the balls along the soccer field. Here is the leader feedback form. This is the last form we have. You will complete a leader feedback form after each session. Please write your name and county on these forms. There are 2 sides. Yes, there are forms, and forms. There are a lot of forms here because it is the first session. After those forms and handouts are the PowerPoints. The Adult and Youth Curriculum Guide nicely illustrates what PowerPoint slides correspond to the session components and supplies. The PowerPoint presentations are both English and Spanish. You will lead the discussion with the Spanish slides. The slides have talking points in the notes section that you will follow. So again, all that you need to lead in the adult and youth group discussion is in these PowerPoint presentations. Now, if you look at the notes, you will notice sometimes there is italicized font. These are directions for you and are not to be read out loud. So, for example, if in the note script you see pass out forms to participants and it is in italics, you do not need to read that out loud. This is for you to know and that you have to pass out these forms to the participants. This is what the slide and talking point notes will look like. There will be a combination of the facilitator lecturing and also a time when the facilitator can ask audience questions. If there is a question or concern from either the facilitator or the audience, the facilitator should refer the questions to the nutrition educator or the FCS agent, and then you will again interpret as necessary. When each session discussion is over, the two groups will come together for the food demonstration and the taste test. The program has a cookbook, and the session recipes come from it. At the end of the program, the participants will get their own copy of the cookbook as an educational extender. In session 1, the recipe is black bean and corn salsa. The nutrition educator or agent will have the supplies ready, and the PowerPoint scripts walk you through how to prepare the dish. In this session, the educational extender is a spice jar, so encourage participants to use herbs and spices to flavor their foods, like in this recipe. Encourage them not to use salt. Sessions 2 to 5 have the same format as Sessions 1. Session 2 has one activity that is new this year, so I will go over it with you. Remember that you have to prepare each session beforehand by reading through the PowerPoint presentation. There were no forms in Sessions 2 through 5, just handouts and worksheets. We will look at the Session 2 worksheet as an example. The session begins with everyone together for the physical activity portion. After the physical activity component, the groups split up. The Adult and Youth Facilitator will use the PowerPoint presentation to lead the discussion using the provided handouts and worksheets. The session ends with goal setting and the food demonstration, and you also have the leader feedback form to complete. Session 2 is Families Getting Healthy Together, Preventing or Delaying Chronic Diseases. The main disease that is discussed in this session is diabetes. This year, there is a new session activity where participants see what it is like to experience 2 serious consequences of diabetes. Most of the materials that you need for this activity are in a diabetes kit, and the nutrition educator or the agent will supply you with some additional supplies if need be. The PowerPoints have instructions on what to do and when. You will spread butter on the glasses that participants try on so they can feel what it is like to have their vision impaired by diabetes. You will hand out the work gloves from the kits, and the participants will compare touching cotton balls with and without the gloves to understand the consequences of peripheral neuropathy. Also, you will have some clear straws or tubes filled with Play-Doh from the diabetes kits to help participants visualize the damage that the disease has on blood vessels. Let's look quickly at an example of a session worksheet. Participants will work on worksheets during the session discussion. The PowerPoint presentation will tell you when to hand them out. For Session 2, the worksheet is Sweetness Costs. You have an English version and a Spanish version. There is also a 10 tips handout for participants in Session 2 and a water bottle educational extender to encourage substituting water for sugar-sweetened beverages to maintain good hydration. Again, there are also Spanish and English versions available of the 10 tips. Now, let's turn to the tab for Session 6. The topic, Our Family's Health Comes First. This is the last session of the program, and just like Session 1, it has more components, so we will go over them in more detail. As always, start the session with physical activity. Behind the tab, we have Session 6 Guide. Then you should have the forms, handouts, and worksheets for the session, and your PowerPoint presentation notes, which you will use to lead the discussion. Let's take a look. After the Session 6 Guide, you should see an activity called Linda, Are You Sure You Want That Snack worksheet. Again, there is an English and Spanish version available. Participants will work on this worksheet during the facilitator-led discussion. As always, the PowerPoint presentation will indicate when to do this. There is a fun activity in Session 6, the Beach Bowl Review Game, which aims to help participants synthesize all of the information that they have learned during the Better Food, Better Health program. It works like this. A participant will toss the multicolored beach ball to someone. Whoever catches the ball answers the question. The question that the person gets is guided by the color under the right thumb when catching the ball. There will be a list of questions by color. You have the questions and answers in your notebook. In Session 1, we had an Adult Survey 1, and now for the final Session 6, we have an Adult Survey 2 that participants need to complete for evaluation purposes. Again, there is an English and a Spanish version. In Session 6, we also have a Youth Post-Survey that the youth participants need to complete for evaluation purposes. There is only an English version of this available. Parents will also need to complete feedback forms for each of their children that participated in the program. Notice that you have an English and Spanish version available for this. Adults will complete the My Action Plan that gets them to plan what positive behavior changes they can make in the future. This is included on your slides in Spanish and English, and those versions are available, and they're also carbon copied, so you will be able to keep one and hand the participants theirs to take home with them. There is also a food demo for the final Session 6, and if the nutrition educator or the FCS agent deems it appropriate, the final session might include a healthy potluck where participants bring in food from a program recipe or recipe from their native country, modified to be healthy. Participants also receive the program cookbook as an educational extender. Participants will receive a graduation certificate with their names on it. Again, there is a Spanish and English version available for this. Lastly, you will complete the final leadership feedback form. This next section, we will go over your facilitator contract and payment. As a facilitator, you are a contractor, not an employee on the payroll. Taxes will not be withheld from your paycheck. Your income will be reported to the IRS as non-employee compensation on Form 1099-miscellaneous. If you have not done so already, you will need to complete an instruction agreement, which is the contract, a W-9 form, if you were not a facilitator previously, a vendor HCH enrollment form to have your payment electronically transferred into your account, and a background check. The nutrition educator or the FCS agent that you will be working with will provide you with these forms, and once completed, will mail them back to the SNAP-Ed Steps to Health office for processing. You will also need to complete all the required facilitator training components in their entirety before you begin teaching. You will be paid at the end of your program. You are guaranteed $18 an hour for up to 34 hours of work for the entire program. Again, you are only guaranteed payment for up to 34 hours. So, please be mindful of your time. You'll be paid for completing this training, and this goes towards those 34 hours. With this in mind, you might need to work with your nutrition educator or FCS agent to plan your work schedule. A facilitator detailed timesheet will be provided to you where you track your hours for each session, including your prep time and actual class time. You will also keep track of your program-related mileage using a mileage log. You will be reimbursed at .575 per mile for a maximum of 320 miles or $184. At the end of all 6 sessions, the facilitator detailed timesheet and the mileage log will be sent to the SNAP-Ed Steps to Health office by no later than August 31st, 2017. The nutrition educator or the FCS agent will approve and or sign off on these. This is what the facilitator detailed timesheet looks like. Notice there is a section to count time for training and recruitment before the program begins, and that for each session you can break down your time for follow-up with participants, session preparation, and delivery of your sessions. You will check the box that indicates your facilitator position and then calculate your total hours, rate, and total dollar amount for reimbursement. Also notice that you, the nutrition educator, and the FCS agent will sign this before sending it in. This is what the mileage log looks like. Your log will look like this, and you will be writing in your trip number, the date of travel, the starting and ending location, name and address, and the number of miles you have traveled. Please note the bottom line, which will ask you for your total miles and your total reimbursement. So to recap, you, the nutrition educator, and the FCS agent will need to send in your completed instruction agreement, a W-9 form if you were not a facilitator last year, your completed vendor ACH enrollment form, and your background check to the SNAP-Ed Steps to Health office before you start working. During the program, you will track your time and mileage. At the end of the program, these forms are signed and sent to the SNAP-Ed Steps to Health office no later than August 31st, 2017. This concludes the Better Food, Better Health Facilitator training. To really get a grasp of the material, you should review your facilitator notebook. You will discuss your role with your FCS agent or nutrition educator, and she will answer any of your questions. Any questions that the FCS agent or nutrition educator might not be able to answer, she will direct to the main office. Thank you so much again for being a facilitator. Now, your next step to complete your training, you will be directed to the mandatory civil rights training on this page. You will need to complete that training, and you will also need to review the poster and Justice for All. Thank you so much for participating in this training, and good luck.